some days you're up and other days you're down. Always tip the dealers and when your waitress comes around, cause sometimes you punt and other times you're round. And you might get cooler to flop the nuts when you sit down. The outcome of the hand don't mean that you made it, cause life's not about the result but more on how you played it. Hitting 8s, 9s, and 10s and all the painted faces. Every day you play is a win, even if you're mucking aces. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Mucking Aces poker vlog. This is episode number 13, and today we are headed out to Reno, Nevada. Hopefully we'll be able to hit up a few of the casinos out there. Looking forward to meeting some of you who did reach out, and also if I don't catch you at this one, hopefully I'll be able to in the future. Let me know, just send me a message, and we look forward to running it up. It's going to be a few hours for us to get out there, so I'll have some B-roll footage of the drive up as well. Definitely wish us luck.
All right, y'all, we are playing at the Silver Legacy Casino, and in this first hand, I pick up King Queen offsuit in middle position. Looking to fill out how the game is going, I decide to bump it up here and make it 10 more to go in middle position after it limps around to me. I get one caller in the big blind, and we go heads up to a flop, which comes out Queen 7-3 with 2 spades. Having top pair here, I decide on a bet sizing of $20 once it gets checked to me, and the big blind player decides to think about it, but ultimately ends up deciding on a fold. So happy to take this one down here early on in the session. Looking to run it up in a room that I've never played in before, I pick up a 6 offsuit in the big blind. We're about $400 effective at this point, with the under the gun player being the small stack. He decides to limp in, and the player who is in middle position decides to limp in as well. And also then the player in the hijack decides to limp also. So we are going to go 4 ways to a flop once I check my option. And the flop is going to come out okay for us with top pair on the board. We see 6-5-2 rainbow, and I decide to check it with top pair and a top kicker here. It actually ends up checking around, so we go to a turn, which comes another 6. So that's great for us. I throw out a bet of $5, trying to build up a pot, and I only get one caller after the next 2 to act decide to let their hands go and fold. The river card comes a 10 of spades, so of course here I'm going to throw out a bet for value. Unfortunately, that backdoor spades draw does come in, but I can't be afraid of that. I throw out another bet and the opponent folds. Next up, I pick up Jack 8 offsuit in the small blind. I've been taking down a lot of these pots pretty easily here, really just chipping up, taking down the blinds. So when I'm in the small blind, I'm going to play a little bit looser here. I decide to make the call, and we go to see a flop. 3 ways with the middle position player and the big blind. The flop comes out King 9-5 with all spades here, so I decide to take a stab at it, throw out a bet of $5, and show them the bluff with air after they both fold. At this point, I'm playing pretty loose here, and with some pretty speculative play, I pick up a 7 offsuit on the button, and I go heads up to a flop with the big blind, and the flop comes out 10-7-4 with all spades. I throw out a bet of $15, and the big blind just lets his hand go, probably scared of the flush draw there. Continuing with our loose play, we pick up Queen 9 in the small blind. As it limps around to me, I'm going to, of course, come along and see if we can get rewarded and hopefully make our hand. So we go 3 ways to a flop, and the flop comes out pretty good for us in this instance. We see a queen, a jack, and a 6 with 2 clubs out there. I decide to check for a bit of deception with top pair and a flush draw out there. It checks around. The turn comes another club. Unfortunately, this isn't a great card for us, as I don't think that I'm going to get much by way of value here. It does check around once a 10 comes on the river, and that 10 is another club. But it looks like nobody had a club here, so I take it down with the queen. In the next playable hand, I pick up ace queen of clubs. I'm in the cutoff a few orbits later, and I decide to bump it up. 10 more to go here after there is 1 limper. I do get a caller here in middle position who decides to go heads up with me, and we see a flop that comes out ace 8 7. So with that ace coming out and it being a rainbow board, I decide to bump it up. Once he checks to me, I decide on a continuation sizing of $15, and he doesn't think long at all before snapping off here and making the call. The turn comes out a 2 of clubs. This, for me, shouldn't change much, so I throw out another bet of $20, and he goes into the tank for a bit, thinking about whether or not he should make the call, and unfortunately, he does not make the call. He decides just to lay this one down. I show him my ace, and we move on to the next one, scooping this pot. 1 orbit later, I am in the cutoff again, and this time I pick up pocket 9s. With this hand, of course, I'm going to make it 10 more to go, see if I can get a pot brewing here, and it looks like everyone is along for the ride in this one, as we go 6 ways to a flop. So happy to see that people are playing a little bit less timid at this time, but maybe they're just sick of me pushing them around. That flop comes out 2 3 5 rainbow, and I'm going to, of course, make a continuation bet once it checks around to me again. I decide on just a small sizing of $10, and I get 1 player here to make the call. Once he makes the call, a jack comes out on the turn, and I throw out another bet of $10. He makes the call again. Another jack comes out. I throw out a bet of $20, and he just mucks his hand. Next hand I pick up that is playable is pocket 7s in the big blind. I decide, of course, to bump it up here, so I make it 10 more to go. And the hijack player decides to do something that I did not really expect. He decides to make a min raise to $20. So with that sizing, I am a little skeptical, but not afraid here to just make the call. I guess I could have re-raised him here with a 4-bet, but I wanted to keep the action going. So we go heads up to a flop, which comes 3 6 6, and I decide to throw out another bet here, and he immediately mucks his hand. So not sure what he was thinking there, but happy to take this one down. Okay, this one is a bit of a weird one for me. I pick up ace king in the small blind, and a little bit of a backstory here. A new player sits down, and she is in the cutoff. She asked the new dealer who just sat down to give her some good luck. So when I pick up ace king, I'm thinking that he's giving me the good luck, and we go 3 ways to a flop with the big blind and that player who is in late position. and I throw out a continuation bet as it comes out King 5-7. So with my top pair, I'm pretty confident that I have the best hand at this point. But unfortunately, after the big blind makes the call, the player who is in the cutoff decides to raise. They raise here roughly $45, and I decide that I'm gonna go with it as they only had about $100 behind. So I decide to jam my whole stack in there to get the big blind player out of the hand, and that's exactly what he does. We go to a turn and a river. The turn comes the Queen of Spades, as you can see there, and the river comes the Jack of Clubs. Unfortunately, after I show my hand pretty quickly, I get slow rolled, and she finally flips over pocket fives. So she did flop a set there, and unfortunately, I'm not going to get that good luck, and she definitely is here in this instance. And there had been a bunch of hands here that go by where I flop top pair or middle pair or throw out a bet, and unfortunately everyone just folds. But I guess it's good for me as they are playing a little bit more timid here in this 1-3 game, and I get to take down a lot of the dead money that's out there. I'll ask you here at this time to hit that like and subscribe button. I appreciate everyone for watching. In the next interesting hand, I am in the middle position here, MP1, and I pick up King Jack offsuit. I decide to make it 10 more to go, and I get one caller here. So we go heads up against the player who is in the hijack position, and we see a flop that comes out pretty good for us. Jack 10-3 with two clubs. So I decide to throw out a continuation bet here. I throw out a bet of $20, and the player who is in the hijack decides to come along for that additional $20 there. So we are going to see a turn, and the turn card comes the 9 of diamonds. Here for me, it really doesn't change much other than King Queen getting there, but I throw out a larger sizing to see if I can weed out any of his drawing hands, and he quickly folds. To this $50 sizing, I don't think that he wanted to come along with his hand. And this one is going to kind of set up for the next hand. I pick up 9-4 offsuit in the hijack, and I am pretty much just taking down a lot of these pots with a single bet here after the flop. I pretty much do the same thing in this hand. As the flop comes out 7-3 deuce, I throw out a bet here of roughly $20, and with my 9-4, I take it down with air, which goes into this next hand when I'm in middle position and I pick up a premium in the form of pocket kings. I make it 10 more, and the player who is in the hijack makes the call. The player in the cutoff who I showed the bluff to also makes the call as well. So we go 3 ways to the flop, and the flop comes out 9-5-9. So with the board pairing here, I decide to make a continuation bet. I make it a small sizing. I throw out a bet of $10. The player who is in the hijack decides to let his hand go. And surprisingly, the player who is in the cutoff decides to check raise here. So this is a bit surprising to me, and I think about it for just a minute after he makes it only a sizing of $40. So it's a little bit fishy here. I guess he's trying to rep the 9, but I'm not going to go anywhere for that sizing. So once he throws out that check raise, I throw out the additional money, and we go to a turn, which comes out a great card for me if he's going to be repping that 9. It is another 9. So there are 2 spades on the board here, but once he checks to me in this instance, I'm going to throw out another bet. I throw out a bet to the sizing of $35, and he simply makes the call. So we go to a river, which is a jack of spades, and at this point, I am not believing any of the story that he is telling. So he decides to shove all in. So I have to, of course, snap it off. I show my kings, and he is pretty much shocked here. So I'm going to take down this roughly $585 pot or so, and happy to felt this player. I end up playing a few more hands where I throw out a bet and everyone folds to a single raise. So after playing for a few hours and getting a little bit tired, I decide to rack up and call this one a win.
Alright, y'all, that's it for episode 13 of the Mucking Aces Poker Vlog. I definitely appreciate everyone who dropped a like on the video. Want to give a shout out to those new friends in Denmark, Japan, and Indonesia. And also, please feel free to go check out Fish Poker's channel. He invited me down to Southern California to go play at the meetup game that they had out there. Looks like they had a great turnout, so y'all definitely go check out that. Hopefully next time I'll be able to get down there and meet up with y'all. Looking forward to that one. I did hop into the game at Silver Legacy for $500, and we got out of the game for roughly $850. I'll have the numbers up in the screen. I really appreciate everyone who subscribed to the channel. Definitely looking forward to seeing your comments. I know this was a longer session, and it definitely had a few spots there. So I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace.